Good morning, students. Our today's topic is Principles of Prevention. Student, while treating an infectious diseases, we generally face two or three limitations. For example, once a person suffers from a disease, his body functions are impaired and may never recover completely. Second example is that as treatment takes time, the patient is confined to bed for some time, right? Or one more example is there, like the infected person serve as a potential source of spread of this infectious disease to other person in the community. Like nowadays we are hearing about the coronavirus. Okay, so keeping in view these limitation, prevention of disease is considered far better than their cure. You must have heard about this term also, like precaution is better than cure. Preventing measures are actually precautionary steps taken to check the transmission of infectious diseases. And there are two ways of prevention of infectious diseases: general ways and specific ways. So let's start with the general ways of prevention. Student, in general ways, we include sanitation, because public hygiene is one basic key to the prevention of infectious or communicable diseases. Garbage heaps, polluted water, food exposed to the dust, and flies are these are the chief sources of disease causing organisms. Okay, so sanitary around or surroundings can prevent spread of diseases. Like for airborne microbes, we can prevent exposure by providing living conditions that are not overcrowded. Next is proper and sufficient food. Availability of proper or nutritious and sufficient food to everyone will make people healthy to resist infections. Right? Likewise, isolation. You must have heard this term because nowadays home isolation, these are the common terms which we are hearing. Okay, so a person suffering from an infectious disease should be kept in isolation so that others do not catch infection from him. Because doctors are also suggesting that if a person is suffering from corona, then the person should stay at home, in home isolation, right? Then sterilization or the eradication of the vectors, proper immunization against the diseases. So these all, even the safe and healthy drinking water, these all are the preventing measures which we should follow as a precautionary measures, as a general ways of prevention. Next is the specific ways of prevention. Student, specific ways of prevention of infectious diseases relate to a peculiar property of the immune system that usually fights off microbial infections. Just let's take an example of smallpox. Okay, nowadays the smallpox disease has been eradicated from the world. However, nearly 100 years ago, smallpox epidemics were very common. And in such an epidemic, people used to be afraid of going near the patient suffering from smallpox. And nowadays, we can take an example of coronavirus at the place of smallpox. So, we also generally afraid, right, to going near the patient suffering from the coronavirus, because as this is infectious disease. Okay. Students, one more thing which you must have heard about the coronavirus is those who had coronavirus once, okay, this disease, were not likely to get it again, are not likely to get it again. Now, this happens because the body's immune system respond against the infectious microbe that invades the body for the first time. The immune system then remembers it specifically Therefore, when the particular microbe invades the same person next time, the immune system immediately responds with greater vigor and eliminates the infection more quickly than the first time. And this is the actually basis of the principle of immunization. So, if you want to define the immunization, we can say it is an effort to prevent or modify natural infection by administration of antigen or an antibodies. So, when we are talking about the immunization, you must and you should know about the term vaccine or vaccination, because generally and nowadays we are daily hearing about the vaccination because we are eagerly waiting for the vaccine of the coronavirus. Now, actually, what is this? Now, student, vaccine is actually antibody provoking agents are termed vaccine. The term vaccine is used for a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogens or weakened or dead pathogens, which on inoculation into a healthy person provides temporary or permanent immunity against the disease. Okay. And vaccination, that is a technique in which a preparation of antigenic protein, as I told you, of the pathogens or dead pathogens are injected into a person to develop immunity in him without infection. Okay. So earlier actually traditional Indian and the Chinese medical or medicinal system actually used to rub the skin crust from the smallpox victims into the skin of healthy people. This you must have heard that the idea of vaccination was conceived 2 centuries ago by Edward Jenner, a country doctor during a dreadful smallpox epidemic in England. Student Dr. Jenner tested his vaccination theory in May 1976. He actually deliberately gave us cowpox to people and found that they were now resistant to the smallpox. This was because the viruses that causes smallpox and cowpox are closely related. In Latin, cow means vacca and the cowpox means vaccinia. It is how the word vaccination has come into uses. And student, now the vaccines are available for preventing whole range of infectious diseases like tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, hepatitis, cholera, TB, measles, mumps, etc. And these form the public health programs of childhood immunization for preventing infectious diseases. Here we have a chart of vaccines for children according to their age month wise or years wise.